So front display, now see it has the H button, which is the added button on the machine. So all that does is when the H button is on and the orange light is lit, that means you're on temperature and flow activation. If you shut the button off, now you're just on flow activation. All the rest of this is the same. So it always gives you a temperature that you set in the front. Also, keep one more thing in mind about power, just in case someone calls you on this. If you have a power outage and the burner is running on this machine when the power goes out, it does not put into a hard lockout. But if the power's out for more than 15 minutes, when the power comes back on, it will default to 110 degrees in the front display. So if you have a customer who had a power outage and they call you up saying my hot water's not hot enough, have them go downstairs, just bump the numbers up to 120. Okay, it defaults back to 110.
So with the yeah, and you can't change temperature with flow going through it, right?
That's correct, you cannot. If it's running, you cannot change the temperature in the front display. That's correct. Okay? So, hot or colder. If I hit the hot or colder button, I can change my temperature in the machine from the 110 all up to the 140 in the 5-degree increments. Priority button is for remote controls. You can have up to 5 remote controls in the house. I've never, Jim told me they sold 1 remote control to 1 customer. I've never seen any sold. Doesn't make any point. There's no point anymore. Pressure balancing valves in someone's shower. It doesn't matter if you bring 120 to it or 140 to it, you're getting 115 or 113 out of it. So we don't sell a lot of remote controls. I have seen 1 or 2 in camps where the unit was installed in the crawl space. So they put the remote control up on top so they can see if it has an error code or something wrong without crawling down the crawl space. But other than that, we don't sell a lot. But if you had a remote control, you'd press the priority button, the blue light would come on, and that means that control now has control of the machine. That's what it does. Okay? Power button, turn the power on, the green light comes on. If the burner's lit, the red light is on. Now, if there's no burner running and you want to see your saved error codes, just hit the diagnostic button. This will come up, SA06 or SA07 or SA03, depending on the board you have in the machine. Hit the up arrow 1 time, there's your first saved error code. So error 1, E1, is O2, so we know it's a flame failure. Hit the up arrow, shows you E2. Okay? Anytime you see 255, it means you've never had an error code. When you buy a brand new machine, 1 through 9 will all say 255. As you get an error code, it throws a 255 away. If you get a 10th error code, throws the oldest one away, puts the newest one in the number 1 position. I can't tell you time, I can't tell you date, I can only tell you that they happened. Okay? And they never go away. Unless you change the board and put a new board on it, it resets it. But other than that, you can't clear them, you can't make them go away, they're always there. Okay? Now, if the machine is running, and I hit the diagnostic button, a whole different group of information comes out. Hit the up arrow 1 time, it says O. That's the temperature coming out of the machine that's going to the fixtures. Hit the up arrow 1 time, H is the temperature coming out of the heat exchanger. Hit it again, I is the temperature of the water coming into the machine. So I can tell you all 3 water temperatures in the front display. Now why is that important? We talked about the fact that with our machine, you can overdraw it. You can pull too much water through it. So let's say you go to somebody's house and you check O and it says 120. You check H and it says 120. You're now at your maximum flow rate. So if you've got 6 gallons a minute going through the machine, they both say 120, and you go to 7 gallons a minute, they're going to both drop to 114. Go to 8 gallons a minute, they're going to drop to 109. Go to 9 gallons a minute, they're going to drop to 100. You're going to keep losing temperature as you overdraw that machine. So that's how they have to be sized right for that application. So this will tell you that. One of the biggest complaints I used to get from my customers that had Rinnais was temperature fluctuations in the shower. So you go to the house, right? And I take a digital thermometer and I go to a bathroom sink. Something doesn't mix water. I turn on the hot and I check the temperature. If I had 120 degrees coming out of that faucet, and 120 degrees coming out of the kitchen faucet, but then I ran the tub filler and it was all over the place, I know it's not the machine. It's the pressure balancing valve cartridge in the shower that's failed and causing a temperature fluctuation. Or with Rinnai, it could be too low flow of a shower head. Or the shower head's dirty, so it's restricting flow and dropping below that half a gallon a minute and shutting off the machine. So this way you can actually tell. Now it won't always stay at 120. It's going to go up or down a little bit as it's running. But if it's a big pressure temperature drop, you shouldn't see more than 2 or 3 degrees plus or minus it going back and forth once it's settled in. Okay? Don't be afraid of this number. You might see that number at 150, 155, 160. Shouldn't really be much above 170 at any given point in time. Because as your flow rates are less, we modulate down, but we'll still build temperature in there. But that's good. That's not bad. That means we have more usable hot water in there we can mix down in that buffer tank the hotter the water is. Okay? Hit it again. A is the temperature of the air I'm pulling back in for combustion. So let's say you go to a unit that's having lockout codes. You fire it off, it's like today. It's 20 degrees outside. You fire off the machine, this says 120 degrees. Well, you know you've got cross-contamination. You're pulling exhaust back into that machine. That's why that temperature's hotter coming in the machine. And finally, hit it 1 more time, and it shows you the RPMs of our blower. So I can tell you exactly where this machine is modulating. From 1,080 RPMs to 6,500 RPMs, and anywhere in between. So it's good function. Now you talk about the gas valve. We are working on one change to the gas valve. We're looking at adding a thing to this front display. You'd hit the up arrow again, it'll say G and show you operating gas pressure in the front display, which would be really cool. We were so close to having that done, but the machine they found to go between the gas valve and the outside was too big. If the burner's on and I hit the up or down arrow, like Bill said, it'll show you the GPMs going through the machine. You can't change the temperature when there's water going through it. We don't want you guys going in there and burning your wife as a joke. So we make it so you can't change it. Okay, as much fun as that might be. So if you hit the up or down arrow, it goes from set temperature to GPMs and back and forth. That's what you're going to see. And if you're overdrawing the machine, you'll see it. I've seen them pulling 19 gallons a minute through the machine, and it shows it on that front display. And of course, I'm not making any hot water at that point in time, but you can see the GPMs going through it. So that's what the front display does.